Hello everyone, it's June 25th, 2013, and as you can tell, I've been watching a lot of things here. Nothing unusual as far as me doing that, but I've been asking Conservatus Prime to be kind of the gatherer of the information and the guy who puts it out. And I just want to explain a few things as to why we did it this way. I realize that the short bursts of information are kind of difficult because you'd rather hear it all at once. But I wanted you to have the information up to date so that you could come to your own conclusions in a timely manner. It really doesn't work very well that way on YouTube. I understand it's kind of aggravating, but we decided to go with that method so that, again, you could follow and make your own decisions about what this information means. I would like to tell you what it means, but I'm just going to give you my opinion, really, because none of us are privy to the actual situation that's going on. We can only basically take the information and come up with a possible scenario of what's coming down, or several of them. The bottom line, as I've always said in all of my videos, is that things are getting very, very dangerous, and we need to be prepared. That's my #1 message to everyone, of course, always, is to be prepared. I want to thank Conservatus Prime for stepping up to the plate on this. He's done a really good job considering the circumstances that we're working under, and again, I apologize to all of you for how difficult it was to follow that. Again, I just wanted it in a timely manner. Not all of the information is in. I am still waiting for some pieces of information that I think are critical to understanding what exactly is going on, but I thought at this point I'd go ahead and start, and then I can catch you up later. First off, I want to tell you about Kathy's Blog Talk Radio, 1948 Kitty on YouTube username. She started a very good program, Warriors Head Up, or Heads Up Warriors, I guess it is. And that it's going to start tonight. This is Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central Time, and I will be there and probably fill in some more of the information that I can't get up on YouTube today because the information flow has really slowed down. Not that things aren't happening, it's just it's harder to see now for a lot of reasons. But I will post that Blog Talk Radio on the description box underneath, so you can go there and take a look at that, and then tune in tonight at 6 p.m. Central Time. It's on Tuesdays and Saturdays, I understand. Okay, we got that out of the way. Next thing is this. All of my comments are going to be based on a combination of things, one of which is an historical analysis as well. And this is where it gets kind of tricky, and it's really hard for people to understand that because we've been conditioned to believe that our governments have our best interests in mind, that everything they do is to protect the people, and that's not true. It's never been that way in history, as hard as we try to make it happen, like with the Constitution, putting the chains on the government. You see how they do an end run around it and enact laws and policies in violation of the very supreme law of the land. And that's the way it always is, but we try to hold them to that Constitution. All right. Understand that they are not here to protect you. The defense establishment is not here to protect the American people. It is here to protect especially the members of the government and the shadow government, the corporations, the powers that be. And I've heard some people be a little upset at me because I don't name names. You know how long that would take me to do that? I think you can figure that out on your own. Governments are here, just like they were in the past, to protect the wealthy, to protect the people in power. And they will do anything and everything to keep their hands on the reins of power, to stay in the halls of power. They will pretend wars, they will kill millions, even billions of people, rather than give up their power. You know, when you have for instance, La Cosa Nostra, the mafia. You have this family on this side of the country and this family on that side of the country, and yeah, they're warring with each other when they want turf. But when the government comes after them or somebody else comes after them, they unite because their power is more important than their individual situation. And it's the same in government. You see Putin and you see Obama. Remember that little thing when Obama was caught on a hot mic saying, "I'll have a lot easier time after the election"? World leaders play with each other, okay? They want to stay in power. So no matter what you see as a reason to go to war, there's usually some other reason, and it's going to involve money and power under every single circumstance. So I want you to understand that, okay? Why are we in the Middle East at all? National security, fighting terrorism, which again I told you is a tactic. You can't have a war on a tactic. All right? This is to secure money and power, and in the end, total control over the people. That's what governments always go for, and I don't think that's anything new to anybody here. No big revelations, okay? I want to talk about some specifics now. If you go down and look at Conservatus Prime's information, again, like I said, I know it was fragmented, coming kind of fast and furious. In a real tactical situation, that's how it works. You get all these pieces of information, you're putting it up on a board to help you make decisions and to know what's going on. So really the technique is right, it just doesn't work very well on YouTube. But this is the big picture as I see it right now, okay? And this is fluid. I don't know the end game of these people other than the destruction of our wealth in our lives. That is their end game, but I mean in the short term right now. I've mentioned on this site in some of my comments about the situation with a former CIA guy telling Obama he needs to attack North Korea. North Korea is still a player in this game. Why? Because China can use it, okay? Look at what's happening with gold, and I'm not a financial guy. Why is it, and I've mentioned this once before, why is it that the price of gold is dropping when dollars are so extant now? They're everywhere. It should be the other way around. It's being manipulated. Why? Because it's a subtle currency war, is the way I see it. Now, you guys in the financial markets who understand these things will probably be able to correct me as far as how that works. But remember, the Chinese went and bought a lot of gold. The Indians from India went and bought a lot of gold. And now the powers that be, the Federal Reserve and the international bankers, have suppressed that by loading up tons of paper gold on the market to force the real gold price down. What does that do? It hurts the currencies of other countries, okay? So there is a currency war going on right now, and it's getting very serious. China's having a very bad problem, and yes, they could react in a very dangerous way, all right? Using North Korea as the trigger. Now, the U.S. is manipulating all this, particularly the Federal Reserve and the White House and the powers that are behind it. You have the situation in Syria. Now, we've been talking a lot about aircraft traveling from the States somewhere to places unknown, C-17s and others. I want to let you know, okay, despite the fact I do not find what the United States government is doing in the shadow government to be good, I find it to be despicable. I think you understand, I know that. To give specific information on troop deployments would be wrong for us to do that. Why? Because we don't want to put our own people in danger, even though they're being used as puppets in a scheme to destroy mankind and the world as we know it. I will not be personally responsible for putting them in danger, okay? You can't do that. All I can do is tell you that a large number of troops have left the country and have shown up elsewhere, all right? What happens when your troops leave your country? The people that really want to protect you aren't there anymore. Conservatus Prime is right about that. He put up a video here shortly ago about this very thing. We have UN troops here right now, and that was one of the things we're working on, some of the final pieces of the puzzle I'm waiting for right now, with their organic armor. Not a lot of it. My sense is at this time they're going to be used for a very small regional situation of some sort, and I don't know exactly where that's going to be, but it looks like it's the East Coast as we've intimated. Why would they be involved? To assist local law enforcement and whatever remnants of the military are left here. NORTHCOM is staying put, but a lot of the others are gone, okay? At least bits and pieces from here and there, and they've left elsewhere. Little hint, the Russians are massing on the northeast Syrian border, okay? War is good for states. It's how they get control of money and power and their people. And leaders will play with each other on this. It's just like a chess game. You know where chess came from, all right? The old feudal lords, the kings, right? Using their people and their pawns for their own amusement. It's the same thing today, folks. It's no different, except evil men, and it was true back then as well, evil people, evil men are in control, and they may not actually worship a supernatural evil force like Lucifer or whatever, but their methods are condoned by that same cabal, that same evil force. They all buy into it. So that's why war is so evil, and we should never take part in it anymore. You know, only for real, true self-defense. And of course, when you're going over into foreign lands, that's normally not what's happening. So at any rate, we have UN troops here. How many right now, I don't know. As I've said before, it's not uncommon for us to train foreign troops. We've done that before, okay? But not in the way it's happening right now. Not with the air assault information that we've got about what's going on, the MOUT training it's called, military operations in urban terrain. The fact that there are so many nations represented in one cohesive unit. That's somewhat different. Their joint exercise is true, but the names of those countries that are involved in this, that's very, very peculiar. A couple of them aren't NATO, okay? So there's something definitely going on there. Will they take over the country? As Conservatus Prime said, I don't think that's the point. The point is they're not in their homeland and we're not in ours. That leaves us open to some things. And there was a writer who wrote about this back in the 30s, I believe it was, who explained that this exact situation that we're seeing. The market's dropping, the dollar failing, gold going crazy, erratic, and all of that, and that there would be foreign wars where our troops and our money would be drained from us, and then we would be open to all kinds of things here locally. So I don't expect a UN takeover by UN troops either, not countrywide. I see this as being used in a very specific circumstance sometime very soon. Whether it's because of a war that's going to get ramped up overseas, of course, in particular Syria and Iran, and Russia's stepping up to the plate now and saying yit. Of course, they're doing the same thing with Snowden. Again, this is all game playing. They're serious. They want to have the power, but we're all the victims of their little chess game. So that's how I want you to look at it and continue to prepare. I'm not telling you anything you probably don't already know. I just want you to be aware that this is happening. NORTHCOM is not to be trusted. DHS is not to be trusted. The UN troops probably don't even know why they're here for the most part, but they'll do what they're told, okay? They do have about at least in one location, about 300 pieces of organic armor, okay? And I think we've already told you that. So what is the big picture here? We have information that I got about the same time on Job Price, the SEAL that supposedly committed suicide. That came out in Veterans Today that it was actually, this was a couple of months ago, that it was actually an airliner crash in Iran. It was off the standard course, and that Hillary Rodham Clinton was aboard, and that's why she really got hurt, why she had to wear those glasses. She got a concussion. The Veterans Today thing, it's sometimes good information, but I had to wait for some other confirmation, and we did from, I'm going to term it as boots on the ground. In other words, somebody's in a position to know, and yes, that is what happened, okay? So he did not commit suicide, but they were in a place they shouldn't have been by all purposes that the people in the world would understand, particularly in the United States, and so they had to make it look like there was another incident that occurred. The actual details are still kind of fuzzy, but basically I just want you to know that he did not put a bullet in his head. That's not what happened, okay? That was the first thing. The second thing is that there would be an event that would start, and that's why I said what I said on my video last time, that it may not actually occur between the 20th and the 26th of June, but it would begin. And in fact, it has been happening. As I said, with all the military traffic, the fact that UN is training here, all of these things are beginning. Will it touch off by tomorrow? I don't know. As Conservative Prime said, you usually give it always another 48 to 72 hours from the date on either side. You always do that. I want to caution you, in history, okay, D-Day, all of the reports along Normandy, all right, we're talking about all these different feints that the Allies were doing. Remember, I told you feints are pretend assaults, basically, to not just to probe the enemy, but to keep them off guard, to give them false ideas of what the main effort is. So after a while, you know, Hitler and his staff finally said, nah, you know, it's not going to happen. And on the actual D-Day, when all this stuff occurred, they're getting radios, phone calls in, you know, they're coming, and they go, no, it's just another one of those feints, okay? So they keep you off guard. That, even Hitler fell victim to that, okay? It's a good military tactic, and that's what's been happening to us as a people. They've been doing the same thing to us with all of this information, everything. We know the hammer's going to drop. We don't know where or when. They choose the time and place. And our intel gathering capabilities, our ability to analyze is restricted because we don't have all the information. We can just see, you know, different things that start to congeal and bring together that things are happening. And we've talked about that ad infinitum with the DHS and their military buildup, weapons, ammunition, armored vehicles, the whole thing with Christians and veterans being terrorists, all that. And I don't want to go there again, just to remind you that we've already talked about that. So this time period right now is critical. Things are happening, and I don't know where the final assault, so to speak, the final main effort is going to occur. My guess is that a serious war is going to start in the Middle East, and that it will cause a financial collapse here at home. These things are probably going to happen very close to each other. Like I said, this gold thing is really critical to understand why gold is low. You know, when the dollar is so extant and plentiful, doesn't make sense. Somebody's manipulating this to control other governments and people like you and I who are trying to hedge against the fiat money system. They don't want that. You know, I've heard people say, well, they want to crash the dollar and take over the country, but in order to do that, they have to crash everybody else first. You see, so that's starting to happen. And like I said, I see this as being a financial and military disaster that kicks in something here domestically, and we are going to be left on our own. Conservative Prime is right about that. Remember, the United States military, the Pentagon, has already said, as Obama, I don't even want to call him a president, that they don't go to Congress anymore. They go to the UN and NATO. Our sovereignty is already taken illegally from us by our own leaders who want to have these things happen. So, in the next little while, I think you're going to see something happen significant in the financial and military arenas. And there'll be something that then occurs locally in our country, in CONUS, again, on the East Coast, it's looking like, most likely. There is a possibility. I talked a long time ago. You know, we've heard people talk about North Korea having missiles that are kind of like Scuds. You know, they're not very accurate and they don't have a long range. But there was that situation with that satellite, and that's still out there. It's still a possibility on an EMP type of thing, okay? So I don't know what the scenario is. I can just tell you all these pieces are here and that something is in the works very, very soon. It's actually happening now. The time frame was correct. All these airplanes, all these things that have been leaving the country, everything fell into this time zone. Our source was right about that. I just, at this time, am waiting for some other information to pinpoint what our domestic situation is going to be. It's going to be chaos. It's going to be loss of bank accounts, money, food. You know, it's all going to revolve around some type of a significant event here, but I don't know exactly where other than regionally, and I'm thinking it's somewhere on the East Coast. Okay. That's not telling you anything you don't already know, but I just wanted you to know that what the big picture is, and I think that's it. I wish I could give you concrete things, but I can't. First of all, it'd be wrong for me to do that. Secondly, it's more important that you're generally prepared and that you understand what the signs are of what's happening. I'm going to be on that radio show tonight, Blog Talk Radio, Kathy's Blog Talk Radio. Actually, I'll be there as much as I can. She wants me to be a co-sponsor, host, I guess. I don't know that I can do that every time. But tonight I think is going to be critical. So they're going to have Karen Hudes on there on the World Bank situation. And I'll give, if I get any more information today about what's happening on this incident that we're looking for, I'll be able to give it to you tonight. All right, I'm sorry that it's not more meaty at this point in time. But the big thing is we just need to keep our eyes open on the horizon and our ears to the ground, as I've always said, and just try to stay ahead of the situation as much as we can. I'll be bringing more information later today if it comes available. I'm out and about, as you can see, for lots of reasons. Again, I want to thank you all for trying to keep up to date and knowledgeable about what's happening. And I'll be back with you a little bit later. Thanks a lot.